Okay, that thing just did weird stuff. Ooh, like my hair's doing weird stuff. Um, Hi. I'm trying to make sure everything is set up the way it should be. Looks like it is. So, how are you doing? I know that right now, which I can't really rely on the number that it says up there because sometimes that there's more here than what the number says because there's been more people saying something in the chat than what the number said. So I know for a fact there's more people here. Thank you. I just threw it up in some weird bun thing. But it is frizzy. It is so humid, but that's okay. That's just Alabama living. Um, and I was outside for a little bit, a little while ago, um, before Jeff went to work. So we're talking about Ruth. And last week we went over chapter 1. And what I think I'm going to do is just do one chapter each week because there's just so much in each chapter. It's just a lot in there. To me, it feels like a lot of good information, a lot of things we could actually, think about possibly, blah, words not coming out, use in our lives today. Um, it's just a really good book. And please ignore the dryer. I'm drying Jeff's overalls. I should have put them on the clothesline, but I didn't. Wow? Wait, you say wow? Why, Carol? Why do you say wow? You not expecting to be here? What's happening? I don't know what's happening. I feel like my nose and through here is red all the time, but it is. Most of the time, I'm red through there. I don't know why. I just am, but I feel like the light is just really weird. That's a little bit better, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm cooking my lunch, so I'm cooking and watching you at the same time. Please be careful. Don't let me make you burn something. you know, who knows what might happen. But I want to go over last week a little bit. We talked about the first book of Ruth, and how that there was no law for an Ephrathite, which is what Naomi's husband was, what their children were. Naomi and what their children, Elimelech and Mahlon and Chilion, were. They were Ephrathites. I felt like something was on my leg. I keep having hairs on me because my hair keeps falling out, and it freaks me out because I think it's a bug. It's not a bug. But anyway, we talked about how that there was no law for them to marry a Moabite. So while they were living there in Moab, the boys did marry Moabites, Moabitesses, I guess is how you say it. Maybe. I don't know. I may be wrong. But they did marry them, but they were not allowed, in up to 10 generations, were not allowed to go into the congregation of the Lord if they did. Which makes me wonder about something else. Because we know the story of Ruth. I'm pretty sure all of us that are here do. And if you don't, I'm going to, spoiler alert, she's still a Moabitess, even though she moved to Bethlehem with Naomi. And that's where we're at. She has moved to Bethlehem, to where that Naomi is from. She follows her mother-in-law. Other sister-in-law or daughter-in-law decides to go back to her family and her God. And Ruth decides, I'm following you. I'm going with you. I'm following your God. I'm not going to leave you. Everybody else is gone. I'm not going to be the last one just to leave you. And I don't know why Ruth decided to follow her. It sounds like to me, because she talks about how they were good to the dead, which was their husbands, the two girls. It sounds to me like they had a pretty good relationship. That's just my take on it. So maybe she didn't want to leave her mother-in-law because She saw that the God she served was much better than her God. And the Bible I'm using today, I decided to go to this one, that's the cultural backgrounds one. I decided to go to it because Donna had sent me a message, in an email asking about. I'm sorry if this is, if I get you in if I do something wrong, Donna. Hopefully I hadn't, because I've already started now. But anyway, she had asked about if I had any books on how that people acted or how they were treated. For instance, I can't remember the exact wording, and I don't want to go to the email, but whenever you say woman, whenever you say woman to someone, like a man says woman, or something like that, they're not meaning it in biblical times. They weren't meaning it in a derogatory way or in any way that was mean. They just weren't. They weren't. They were just saying woman, as in, you're a woman. Maybe not exactly that simple, but anyways, she had asked me about if I knew of any books about the different cultures. And I looked through my books, and I had actually taken 3 books out that I thought, no, they weren't. Actually, this is one of them. They were like this. They were just telling you where to find certain topics in the Bible. That's what all 3 of them were, but they were different ways to do it. Different things, but I'm still going to be on the lookout for it. But my cultural background Bible does give some of those types of things, but it's the only one that I can think of right this moment or since yesterday that actually has any of that stuff. But if you look at the culture of the Moabites and the Israelites, it's different. They have different gods. They have different ways of doing things. And when Ruth decided to leave her culture behind, she took on the culture of her mother-in-law. She took God as her God, not some false God. And we talked about how that Naomi, before the end of chapter 1, she had said, call me Mara. And this Bible, let's see, where's it at? Okay, chapter 20, or verse 20, so sorry. Actually, it doesn't have anything on here. I was going to see if it had anything on there. But anyway, Mara means bitter. It's bitter. It's not a good thing to want to be called Mara. And Carol had talked about last week about in the comments, or in the, not comments, in the chat, what my chat's over here, just in case what the meanings were. She put them up last week for us. But the end of that was they were there at the time of the barley harvest. And I want to talk a little bit about barley today. Let me get on the right page with my notes. I'm making a mess. Get on the right page with my notes. God, where am I at? It feels like, have y'all ever had a day where it feels like everything everyone says, everything you hear in your head is going in slow motion? That's happening to me today. I don't know why. Even my thoughts feel like they're in slow motion today. I don't know why, but it does. It's really weird. So this might be a weird, crazy one, but we're going to start on chapter 2, and hopefully we'll all get something from it. I know I got something from studying it, but whenever my brain's going in slow motion like this, I just can't seem to keep up where I need to be. It's like, I don't know how to even explain it. But I do have a website I used. It's only one website, and it's about barley. I actually printed off what I wanted to talk to y'all about, but I do have this down in the description box. It just talks about barley a little bit, but we're not there yet. We haven't gotten there. I just wanted to tell y'all it was there, And there's a lot of scripture in that on that website about barley, about different times they talk about it in the Bible, but we're not going to go through all that today. So let's start at Ruth chapter 2 so that we can maybe get somewhere. Because I have spent how long? 10 minutes, got nowhere yet. All right. There was a relative of Naomi's husband, a man of great wealth of the family of Elimelech. His name was Boaz. All right. First of all, a man of great wealth, or a man of valor. You know, we say the women of valor, a man of valor. Boaz was a man of great wealth. And I'm going to look at my notes because my brain is not going fast enough. This most likely meant he was able to have weapons of war to protect his people if there was no armies. He would be able to take care of the family in times of trouble, whether it were because of conflict, loss, or any hardship that they might occur. Anybody want lunch? I got chicken stir-fried homemade with turkey. That sounds delicious, but I just ate a little while ago. Thank you, though. But Boaz was a man of great wealth, which meant he most likely had anything he needed to take care of his family. Now, Boaz, I don't think there's anywhere in the Bible that says he was ever married. I could be wrong, but I don't think he ever married. I think actually it says he didn't. We'll get to that later. It's not in chapter 2, though. As far as I know, I did read it, but I don't know. Anyway, so Boaz was a man of great wealth. He was a man who could take care of his family, of his clan, of his people. So Ruth, this is verse 2. So Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, "Please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him, in whose sight I may find favor." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." Then she left and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was the family of Elimelech. Now, in verse 2, it does not say that Ruth is saying, "Let me go to Boaz's field." This is my interpretation of it. I could be wrong, but it says, "Let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him, whose sight I may find favor." She was trying to go get food for her and Naomi and find favor in one of the fields. It doesn't necessarily mean she was going after Boaz. That's the way it sounds to me. I don't think she was going to try to find Boaz's field, is my point. Now, why that the writer wrote about Boaz in the beginning, I don't know, other than maybe it was just to lead you up to the point of, hey, he's got a field. He's a good man. Maybe that was it. I don't really know. But also, gleaning means to pick up the leftovers. And in Leviticus 19, I should have put the scriptures down that I was going to be using today. It's only 2 more that I have written down. Leviticus 19, 9 and 10. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of your field, nor shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest. And you shall not glean your vineyard, nor shall you gather every grape of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. That's what the Lord was saying in Leviticus. That, Leviticus is a book of laws. So God was saying, leave some behind. Take care of your widows. Take care of the poor. Take care of the strangers. Let's see. We are having seafood. You see food, you eat it. I would like you to discuss what the Redeemer is when you get on into Ruth. Not necessary today, I don't think. No, it's not today, but yes, I will be talking about that. I've already been thinking about it, looking at what the Kinsman Redeemer is, which it does. I think we do talk about it, or maybe I just read ahead. We see. Right now, like I said, brain in slow motion is crazy. I think it had already what happened, which is why he was mentioned right off the bat to set the story. Yeah, to set the story. All right, and then Leviticus, and it was the first one in Deuteronomy 24, 19 through 22, says, Whoa, wait a minute. Okay. I have it marked, but not in the right exact spot because it doesn't matter. When you reap your harvest in the field and forget a sheaf in the field, you shall not go back to get it. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat your olive trees, you shall not go over the boughs again. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. When you gather your grapes, the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not glean it afterward. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. And ye shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I command you to do this thing. So, what God is saying is, do it once. That's your harvest. Go through it once. Get all you can. Leave it alone. And the rest of it is for other people. Now, do you think if you go to somebody's field today, you're going to be able to go glean? No. Nope. Nope. You will get shot. If not shot, the police will be called on you. You will be run off for trespassing. You will not be able to go to someone else's field and pick up what's left over. It's just not done today. You just, not here, not in the United States, not that I know of. I mean, there may be places, and I'm not talking about sharecropping or whatever is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you can't just go to somebody else's field and pick their corn, to pick their wheat, their beans, their peanuts, their whatever. You cannot do that now. But God had commanded them in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, whether it's your olive trees, whether it's your grapevines, no matter what it is, if you grow it, you pick it once, that's your harvest. You bring that home, you bring that into your places to store it, and then let the other people who can't afford to go buy, let the widows, let the poor people, let the ones who can't come pick up your leftovers, because what is left over is not going to be much. But in Leviticus, it actually says to leave the corners of your field. So if this is the field, you would leave the corners. I don't know how much of the corner. I don't know if you leave that much or that much. I don't know. But God said, leave the corners, you take the middle. And then leave everything else for the poor to come and glean. And Naomi and Ruth were very poor. They had nothing. Because like we talked about, well, I'm not saying they had nothing, but like we talked about, the women relied on their husbands. Well, both of these women were widows. If you think about it, we talk about, well, hello, Allie. Noah must be getting ready to go to work. He's supposed to be soon anyway. We talked about how that widows, if they didn't have a husband, they weren't able to be taken care of. And yes, in Proverbs 31, we talk about that. That woman did have ways of taking care of her family, but she still relied on her husband. Her husband was still the main breadwinner. The husband it was his duty to make sure his family were fed and clothed and housed and all of those things. And if the husband was gone and there were no sons, the widows were left pretty much destitute unless there was someone there. Well, Ruth and Naomi both were widows. Ruth decided, I'm going to take care of Naomi. I love her. She's like a mother to me. I'm going with her. And she didn't necessarily say that she was going to take care of her, but that is what she essentially did in the end. I don't think that either of these women knew what was going to happen, which I'm going to get ahead of myself if I keep talking. But I do that all the time. Y'all know that. But if these women would have known the end result, they probably, Naomi probably would have never called herself anything other than Naomi. Naomi would have never been Mara. I think that was what it was. Mara, yes. Am I right? Okay, now I've confused myself. Yes, it was Mara. she would have never been bitter, I think. Well, yeah, probably been bitter because she lost her husband and 2 sons, but not in the same way. I think maybe she would have had hope. In other words, I feel like she would have had hope. So, she had told her to go. I don't know if I ever got to verse 3. Yeah, I did. If I didn't, I'm sorry. We can all read it again later. All right, verse 4. This Bible is heavy and it does not want to move. Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered him, "The Lord bless you." That is a customary greeting a lot of times. The Lord be with you, the Lord bless you, shalom, different things like that. That was the customary greeting whenever they came, whenever people met. Let's see. Then Boaz said to the servant who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" Now, before we get into the whose young woman is this, I wanted to talk about what a servant was. A servant did not always mean hired help. A servant could have been someone who was in the military, who was guarding. A servant could have been someone who manages the estate, because it said Boaz came to Bethlehem and said to the reapers. Maybe Boaz wasn't in Bethlehem at the time. Maybe he lived on the outskirts of Bethlehem. I don't really know. Maybe he was not. I mean, either way, he came to Bethlehem. It also could have been someone who was on a retainer of some kind, someone who was hired, which is what servants are now, people who are hired to do a job. So this person, I've heard some people say that he was a slave. Not necessarily. He might have been, but he necessarily wasn't a slave. He could have been a lot of different things, and it doesn't really say. And it really doesn't matter what he was, but that was something. I mean, it doesn't really matter to the story, but that is something that I felt was interesting to me, and I thought I would bring out. He said, "Whose woman is this?" And "Whose young woman is this?" And so the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered and said, "It is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. And she said, 'Please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves.'" So she had asked permission if she could work, if she could gather. She had asked before she ever did this. It was customary to ask permission, even though God had given people the right to do it. It was still customary to ask the owner or the person who was taking care of the place, whoever was in charge. It was customary to ask permission. Contractors serve others by doing certain jobs and fulfilling certain positions. Exactly. So she had asked permission to go and reap. And for whatever reason, Boaz he noticed her. Now, it might have been because she was a Moabite. It might have been she looked different. Maybe she was dressed differently because she came from Moab. Maybe she didn't have the kind of clothes they wore in Bethlehem at the time. Maybe it was because she was a new person in the crowd that he had never seen, who didn't live there long. Maybe it was she was pretty. I don't know that, but it could have been that he noticed a pretty girl, or it might have been he just because he'd never seen her before. We don't know why Boaz noticed her. Not really. But she had asked permission, and so she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. So she had worked from that morning until that time when Boaz had come. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "You will listen, my daughter, will you not? Do not go to glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Have I not commanded the young men to not touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn." So Boaz has gone to Ruth and said, let's see, Boaz was a mighty man of wealth. He was the tribe of Judah and in the direct line of the Messiah. He is mentioned 19 times in the book of Ruth. Yeah, he is. You're getting ahead of me. We're going to be talking about him being in the line of the Messiah later. But it's fine. I don't care. That's one reason why I like doing this Bible study, because we do that right there. But it is funny that that's something I was going to bring up at a different time. I knew what you meant. We all knew you meant Boaz. It's an odd name. It's a different one. But anyway, he had told her, he went to her and he told her, stay with my women. Stay in my field. Don't go anywhere else. I'm protecting you. I have told my young men, do not touch you, because there was a chance that they may hit her or they may rape her or anything like that, because she came from a different place. You don't know what might happen, but he warned them, do not touch this girl. Leave her alone. But let's see. And he also told her to drink water from his place. And customarily, it was the women who gathered water, but in this, the young men had drawn the water. I don't know why, but they did. But usually it was a woman's job. So in verse 10, so she fell on her face, bowed down to the ground, and said to him, why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner? So she knew that she didn't deserve special treatment. She knew she was a foreigner, which meant she didn't deserve what she was getting in the normal custom. What is that? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pause for a moment and tell y'all what was just sent to me. This is Judy, my little sister, Julie Marie's mama. I've been meaning to message you sooner, but it's been crazy. Okay. She's been crazy busy. We all know that. She's got a baby that needs lots of care. I don't know, but I think I said that they were going back to the doctor on last Friday. Let's see. They're decreasing the TPN calories by 10% and decreasing the time on TPN and G-tube to 18 hours a day instead of 20. So that means she gets 6 hours of freedom. Well, she actually said that. So she'll have 6 hours off tubes instead of 4. We can advance the feeds by 1 milliliter per week as tolerated. So it was 7 milliliters an hour. Now it is 8 milliliters an hour. We can try and give her a bottle, 5 to 10 milliliters, and we can offer baby food by mouth once daily. Y'all, that's such good news. I'm so excited. I gotta answer her. But they can try to give her food by mouth. That is so good. Because, y'all, the thing is, and I know I'm off subject, but Julie's very important. Julie Marie is a little bit more important right now. But the longer she's on this TPN, which is the port that's here, the more chance that she could start having other problems, that she could start having kidney problems and different organ failures. So the faster she eats food by mouth, the faster that's gone and the less risk. And also with the feeding tube and the TPN, there's more chance of infection because it's pretty much an open wound all the time. Yeah, it's great news. It's so great, Carol. It is wonderful news. But I don't know what else she said. Oh, okay. Okay. And Marcus is going to come stay with us this weekend because his little brother's doing Miracle League games. Anyway, so, and he doesn't like to go to things like that because with him having being autistic, it's hard for him to be in crowds and stuff. But anyway, where was I at on Ruth? I don't remember. He had told her he was protecting her. Okay, let's see. Okay. So he had told Ruth he was protecting her. I just went on to the subject again. I'm sorry. And he told her, stay here, don't go anywhere else to eat, to get your grain. Make sure you stay with my people because you'll be safe here. So he was protecting her. Verse 10, yeah. So then she said, she fell on her face and said, why are you doing this? Why are you protecting me? I got so excited with my slow brain and that news, Carol, I don't know. So she fell on her face, bowed down to the ground. I read that one. I remember reading it. Or I think I did. Anyways, I know I did because she said she was a foreigner. I know I did. Y'all, I'm excited. I'm all kind of like, my face is really red now. And Boaz answered and said to her, it has been fully reported to me. So he was an important man. We're going to remember that all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth, and have come to the people whom you did not know before. The Lord repay your work, and full reward be given you by the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge. So she had come there for refuge. She had come there to get what she was actually getting, but she didn't even know she was getting it. She didn't know she was going to have this wonderful thing given to her. Don't worry about it, baby. I'm smiling from ear to ear about the great news. I'm trying to keep you straight, keep you going. Yeah, please keep me straight. So Boaz had heard about all she had done. Now, did she do these things thinking, oh, I'm going to get mine if I do this? No, she didn't ever do that. She went with Naomi because she loved her. She was doing what she felt was right in her heart. And because of that, Boaz is saying, God is going to repay all of your good, all of your love, all of the things you have done for your mother-in-law that you didn't have to do. You left everything, and now God is repaying you. Then she said, let me find favor in your sight, my Lord. You have comforted me and have spoken kindly to your maidservant, though I am not like one of your maidservants. Now Boaz said to her at mealtime, come here and eat of the bread, and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar. So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed parched grain to her, and she ate and was satisfied, and kept some back. So not only is he giving her grain, or letting her reap, he is also feeding her while she's there. He is making sure she's hydrated while she's there. While she's working and getting free grain, he's giving her all the needs that she has, all the things she needs, because she was good and she did what was right in the eyes of God, and because she did what she was supposed to do with no type of thought about, well, I'm going to be repaid. She did it out of the goodness of her heart. She did it because she loved Naomi. So, let's see, where am I at now? 15. And when she rose up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. In other words, he said, let her go anywhere in this field. Let her go. Don't make her stay to the corners. Don't make her stay on the edges. Let her go wherever. It does not matter where. Let her reap. Also, let grain from the bundles fall purposely for her. Leave it that she may glean, and do not rebuke her. So now he's saying, let it fall out a little bit. Let some of it fall out of your bundles. Even though you did work for it, you did pick it. For me, let it fall out just a little. So she gleaned in the field even until evening and beat out what she'd gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. So now I want to talk about, that's why this right here, that the web page. Let me find out what she said, y'all. Okay. Um. Okay. She wants to meet me somewhere to get Marcus on Thursday. Anyway, now where am I at? So she gleaned, and now I want to talk about barley and what it means. So did I? Wait a minute. Did I say how much she got? An ephah of barley. An ephah I have wrote down is about a bushel. It's about 2/3 of a bushel, about a bushel, 1 bushel and 3 pints. If anybody's wondering, yeah. Oh well, okay. Now, what it says in the Bible, it says it's about 2/3 of a bushel in this Bible, and I looked up online. It said it was 1 bushel and 3 pints. So, okay, Carol. Well, either way, it's a lot of grain to get in one day. So let's see. Also, whenever you went to gather grain like this, you had to where was it at? They just talked about it. You had to beat it out, and you had to do all the things to get it prepared. And each part of the barley they use for different things, but I didn't have time to look up all of that because I thought about that today and I didn't have time to look it up. But on that website, it says 2 grain crops are prominent in the scriptures, barley and wheat. In several verses, it is not possible to determine if wheat or barley is meant. In others, the distinction is very clear. Both are called corn in several well-known English versions of the Bible, a name which causes some confusion. Even today in Britain, corn refers to small grain and includes barley, wheat, and rye. About 60 pounds. Whoa, how could she gather 60 pounds? How's she going to get that home? Okay, that's a lot. All right, let me keep going. In Bible times, barley was much more widely cultivated than now and was the main food of the poor. Have any of y'all ever eaten barley? I have. It's good. I have gotten, it was in soup. I have put it in soup. I think I have some in my pantry. If I knew for sure I had some in my pantry, I'd go look, but I don't know for sure right now because I don't buy it often because I'm pretty much the only one that really cares about it. But it's really small. It's small. It's small. Why did that? I don't know. It was always valued less than wheat. This is, they've got scripture for that. Although barley was sometimes used as fodder in Bible days, its main use was a staple food. Fodder is food for animals, I believe. Now I gotta look that up. I want to make sure. I'm gonna do it with my phone because it's faster. It would help if I didn't do fitter. Fodder. Food, especially dried hay or feed for cattle and other livestock. Yes, I was right. It was for the animals. Sometimes I got to make sure I'm right. Its main use was for staple food. It was ground and baked into round cakes. The importance of barley is a food crop. As a food crop began to change around about the 16th century, when farmers in the Middle East began growing wheat for food and barley as a fodder crop, because better varieties of wheat became available. Barley is planted about December, and the exact time depends upon the beginning of the rainy season and can vary considerably. The grain can be planted on soil without plowing, and for this reason can be planted on tiny plots in areas inaccessible to draft animals. Barley can be grown in areas too dry for wheat, so it is often seen in the semi-arid regions, as for example on the edge of the wilderness of Judea, east of Bethlehem. The grain matures as much as a month before the wheat. In Exodus 9:32, about the end of April or the beginning of May is whenever it starts. Barley is good. We have wheat fields here in North Carolina. They just harvest them and then they burn them off. Thank goodness I can't smell the smoke. I wonder why they burn them off. I know whenever you burn something, like land or something, new life grows better. But I wonder why they would burn that there. I don't know, maybe because, which actually ashes is something that's good for your garden too. Like if you have a wood stove or something and you have ashes, it's good to mix into your compost. But that's neither here nor there, or it is somewhere. I don't know. So barley can be grown in dry areas and things like that. Where was I at? In the bright sun, the mature barley field looks white, as noted by Jesus in John 4:35. So, barley is still an important crop in the vicinity of Bethlehem. The small plots of barley are still harvested by hand, as described in the book of Ruth, a book that many references to barley. The peasant women cut the grain, then tie it into bundles to dry. Then dry the barley. When dry, the barley is taken by donkey to the threshing floors, where it is threshed using modern equipment or with an old-fashioned threshing sledge pulled by an animal. You leaving? Have fun at work. See you at 5. I love you. He's gone now. I may have to have your Jeep Thursday. We'll talk later. Boaz was a very successful farmer, and barley was one of his important crops. No doubt he was successful because he sought to honor the Lord in his daily work. For example, we know that he left some grain for the poor, Ruth 2:2, in accordance with Leviticus 23:22. In this way, Ruth, a Gentile, came to know her kinsman redeemer, which is something we'll talk about later. In Leviticus 23:1, the Israelite is instructed to bring the priest a sheaf of the first grain you harvest. So that's another thing it was used for. It was used for sacrifice. This is barley because it is the first grain to mature. In 1 Corinthians 15:23, the Apostle Paul applies this to Jesus. The jealousy offering, Numbers 5:15, is the only offering which specifically required barley flour. In 2 places, barley bread was multiplied. The man from Bel Shalisha, I can't say that word. I might have said it wrong. I don't know. Bel Shalisha, I think is how it is, brought barley bread and barley grain for Elisha, 2 Kings 4:42, but Elisha ordered that it be provided as food for the people. Much was left over, prefiguring the multiplication of barley loaves by Jesus in John 6:9, which I did want to read that. I do have that in my notes. John 6:9, Jesus had turned the loaves into a feast for 5,000. Ouch. I want to read that, and then we'll go back to Ruth. Because barley, I don't know why barley was something that I wanted to talk about so much today, other than it was an easy thing to plant, an easy thing because you didn't have to till the ground. It was an easy thing to harvest. It was cheap. It was for poor people, but Jesus used it to feed 5,000 people. So let me go ahead. After these, this is 6:1. I'm going to go 6:1 through 9 probably. In John 6:1 through 9. After these things, Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. Then a great multitude followed him because they saw his signs which he performed on those who were deceased. And Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was near. Then Jesus lifted up his eyes, and seeing a great multitude coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread that these may eat?" But this he said to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, there is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. But what are they among so many? Then Jesus said, make the people sit down. I'm going on to 10. I'm going on to wherever. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down in number about 5,000. So, and Jesus took the bread, he broke it, he blessed it, and he distributed it. This was barley loaves. Why that they didn't just say loaves of bread? Why they say it was barley? I don't know, but maybe this was a poor boy that had these 2 fish and 5 loaves. I don't know, but either way, there was fragments. There was leftovers after that, and I don't know why that was significant to me today. Whenever, because that's the last thing I actually, because I had studied, and then I went back and I did more, because I always do that. I always go back and read it again before we do this. So hopefully it'll be fresh in my brain, but it's usually a mess. Okay, so she had an ephah of barley, which is a lot. I mean, how's a small woman going to tote all that barley? I mean, of course she's not, but still. But she had a large amount to take care of Naomi and herself, because Boaz saw the good in her. That's my thought. So, verse 18, then she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw that she had what she had gleaned. So she brought out and gave to her what she had kept back after she had been satisfied. And her mother-in-law said to her, where have you gleaned today, and where did you work? Blessed be the one who took notice of you. So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, the man's name with whom I work today is Boaz. Then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, blessed be he of the Lord, who has not forsaken his kindness to the living and the dead. So she's saying, wow, that's fuzzy. Is it fuzzy to y'all? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's not focusing. Maybe my brain is messed up. There, it's focused better. But I don't even know how long it's been out of focus. But she's saying, bless him, because he's been good to me. He's been good to even his dead relative, because he's taking care of his dead relatives' wives. That's my thought. I could be wrong. Maybe that's not what she means, but that's the way it sounds. Whenever she says he's been good to, let's see, where was it at? Living and the dead, forsaking his kindness to the living and the dead. And Naomi said to her, this man is a relation of ours, one of our close relatives. So Ruth didn't even know that he was a family member until she came home, until she came back to where that Naomi was. Ruth the Moabitess said, he also said to me, you shall stay close by my young men until they have finished all my harvest. And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young men, and that people do not meet you in any other field. In other words, she tells her, don't go anywhere else. Do what he said. Go with him, because that's what's good. That's what you need to do. So she stayed close by the young women of Boaz to glean until the end of barley harvest and wheat harvest, and she dwelt with her mother-in-law. So if I'm thinking right, it's a lie in wait until after they harvest the thresher. Excuse me. It may be light in wait. But I mean, I know that in pictures you see where that they have like bundles and they're tied up. They're not huge bundles, but I have nothing to be able to show. But I know myself, I don't know if any of y'all ever did it. I don't know what kind of grass it is either. But we used to, when I was younger, my daddy would, I don't know why he did it exactly, but he would have us kids, we would make grass brooms, and there was just long grass that was brown by the, I guess it had died or whatever. But anyway, we would gather it up, and it'd be a big bundle, like big bundle of, oh, the cat scared me scratching on her scratching post. Anyway, it'd be a really big bundle that you could take, and then we, he'd make us little brooms, and I don't know why he did it, but we would sweep the house and stuff with them. I don't even know. I just remember them, but they weren't heavy. So, and they were pretty big around. So, I don't know what they were though. Maybe I need to look that up and see if I can figure it out. But what we've learned, I think, today is that when we are good to others, just because, not because we think we're going to get something from it, that we will be taken care of as well. Now, if we look to humans for that, we're not going to get that. But if we look to God for that, like she said, my God, your God is my God. And she worshiped the one true God because she, in my opinion, she saw that he was better than the Moabites' God. So she chose to follow him. And because of that, and because she is doing what she's supposed to be doing, and she is following God's lead by going where that she's supposed to go, she's being blessed. And we'll find out how blessed she's going to be. But as of now, it's like she didn't know he was a kinsman redeemer, which they haven't gotten to that part yet, but that's what he is. She didn't know that he was going to be someone who would take care of them. And he has chosen of his own decisions, just because he heard what she did, he has chosen to give her just as much as he has the people he's paying for, or paying is the way it sounds to me. Now, I can be wrong, but it sounds to me like he's giving her the same access that his paid employees have, if that makes sense. That's the way it sounds. He's feeding her during the day while she's working. He's giving her the grain, all of that stuff. He goes by, wait a minute. He goes by Brian again. You might, right? Wait. I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. Might be corn straw. It might be. Now I want to look it up. What does corn straw look like? He goes, but I'm confused, Carol. The one part. Let's see if that's what it is. Well, that's a type of broom, but that's not what we got. It looked like it, what wheat kind of looks like, but that's not. That's not actually. I have one of those in the in there. It looks kind of like, this is an Etsy page. It looks kind of like that stuff, if that's kind of like that. I don't know what kind of straw it is that he used. I don't know. It could have been a lot of things, but it just looked like some kind of grass stuff. And it kind of looked like that, but it was fun. There's people making things with it. All right, well, I'm not going to get lost in that. But anyway, I guess that's all that I have for today about it. But I don't know why that I was so interested in the barley and all of that, other than it was a poor man's food, which now it's not so cheap. But barley was something, it was simple. It was easy to grow. It was easy to gather. It was easy to manage. And it was just simple, a simple thing. And that's what she chose to go and glean. And oh, okay. But whenever she chose that, she wasn't going to look for Boaz's field. She was going to the fields. And I don't know. I need to find out. I actually need to figure it out. If maybe all the fields, from what it seems like I remember hearing before that all the fields were together, but they had certain points where that it was, this is where yours stops and this is where mine starts, kind of thing. I don't know for sure if that's right or not. I don't know how the fields were laid out back then. I don't know if, I just don't know. That's all I can say. But since she decided to go there, she was blessed by being able to just keep going back. And the reason why that she was blessed is because Boaz had heard of the good things she had done for her mother-in-law. And everybody knew she didn't have to do that. Everybody knew that she had no obligation to Naomi. She could have went back to her family, but she chose to follow Naomi's God. That is the main point. She chose to follow God, and whenever she did, her life was blessed. Does that mean she didn't have to work? No, because she's working. Does that mean that everything was easy? No, because they had a lot of travel. They had a lot of things they had to do that were not easy. But she did, you know, she ended up, it looks like to me so far where we're at, that she ended up in a good place because she followed God. And which we know, if we know the story, we know she ends up in a really good place. And she ends up in Jesus' lineage. But we hadn't got there yet. So next week, I plan on doing chapter 3. And if y'all like it, if y'all like doing it like this, so like Donna and I were talking, Donna said that she knows what she's going to read. And actually, I don't know why I haven't thought about this the whole time. Whenever I ever went to a Bible study, I would like to know, or a book club or whatever, knowing what we were going to read, knowing what we were going to study before. I like that. I don't know why I haven't been giving y'all this stuff before, because I could either do it on the community tab, or I could tell you the week, of the study, like the week before, So if y'all like that, after we're done with Ruth, we'll just go on to another book and do it that way, and just have a certain amount that we're going to do each time. I don't know. Y'all let me know what you like, because I don't know why I haven't been doing it like that. Actually, it's easier, and we know what we're going to study. We know what we're going to do. We are all have time to do a little homework, I guess. But I'm going to go, because I'm going to have to get supper started soon, because he'll be home at 5, and it's 3 now. He'll be home at 5 for lunch, and he only has a little bit of time, and then he has to go back to work. Noah, that is. Jeff doesn't get to come home for lunch. Noah gets a longer lunch break than his daddy, and Noah's job is closer than his daddy's, so he doesn't get to come home. But he'll be home at 5 for lunch. What are you barking at? She's woofing at somebody. Allie is the craziest, barkiest dog ever. If you ever hear barking, most likely she's the one that started it. But anyway, I'm going to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you got something from it. I feel like I got something from it. I enjoyed learning about things, and not only about the Bible story itself, but about what these tools or things that they used meant. And I don't know why that the barley loaves in the story of feeding the 5,000, why that stood out to me more than some of the other things, but it somehow felt important and I wanted to read it. I don't know if it was important to y'all or not. But the I think the reason why it felt more important to me is because it was a poor man's food that he was feeding everyone, and he fed 5,000 people and had leftovers. How? Because it's Jesus. We know that. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll be back next time. And I'll see you then. Remember, don't take any wooden nickels and be sweet.